All right, everyone, buckle up, because today's deep dive is taking us straight into the wild world of X trends. It's October 4th, 2024, and let me tell you, things are getting interesting out there in the Twitterverse.
Interesting is putting it lightly, right?
No kidding! We're talking potential natural disasters, cryptic athlete messages, even a little something for the furry fandom. It's all on the table today.
You know it. I got my hands on this list of trending terms earlier, and honestly, it's kind of a wild ride. It's amazing how these random topics bubbling up actually reveal a lot about what's worrying people, what's going on in politics, even like our fascination with the macabre.
Speaking of anxieties, first up we gotta talk about FEMA. Seeing them trending is, rarely a good sign.
Yeah, not exactly the kind of trending you want to see.
Right. So what's got everyone talking about FEMA today?
So the buzz is all about these reports that their disaster relief funds are, well, they're stretched thin, and with hurricane season far from over, the timing really couldn't be worse.
Especially with Hurricane Helene causing so much damage,
Yeah.
right? And now there's talk of another one brewing.
Exactly. And this potential new hurricane, they're saying it might be named Kamala.
Whoa! Okay, so another hurricane on the horizon, potentially, and FEMA's resources already strained. That's got to have people in hurricane-prone areas a little on edge, right? What should people be doing to get ready?
You hit the nail on the head. It all boils down to being prepared, having a plan, knowing your evacuation routes if you need them, and having those emergency supplies ready to go. Hope for the best, but prepare for, well,
Absolutely. Okay, so from potential natural disasters to something a little lighter.
a bit of a change of pace, yeah.
Devontae Adams, NFL star, got everyone talking with a seriously cryptic post about, wait for it, Edgar Allan Poe and a raven.
Yeah, not your typical athlete social media post, is it? Like, when's the last time you saw someone quoting classic literature, let alone Poe, on X?
Seriously. And Adams plays for the Raiders, right? But he posts this Poe quote with a picture of, you guessed it, a raven.
Poe's signature bird.
Exactly. So now the internet is convinced he's hinting at wanting to be traded to, wait for it again, the Baltimore Ravens.
Makes you wonder, right?
Is he actually dropping hints about a trade through, like, literary references?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Sure.
What's really interesting here is the timing. This post pops up right when the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards are happening in Baltimore.
No way. Are you serious?
Dead serious. Coincidence, maybe.
Right.
But it definitely makes the whole thing a lot more interesting, especially with those classic Poe themes. Mystery, suspense, a little bit of the macabre.
Well, it's like he planned it.
Right.
Perfect example of how one little trending topic can spiral into a whole big conversation about sports, literature, maybe even some clever PR from Adams.
Totally. These trends, they're not just these random things, They show us what we're into, what we're worried about, and sometimes even how much we love a good mystery.
Love it. Okay, speaking of things we love, let's talk sports. The Sabres are kicking off their season in Prague. Prague for the NHL Global Series.
Talk about a way to start the year.
Right. I mean, taking the game international, that's pretty cool.
Definitely. And speaking of exciting, Kodai Senga's back from injury, which is huge for the Mets. Playoffs are right around the corner.
The pressure is definitely on. And hey, we can't forget about the Celtics. Preseason buzz is one thing, but those fans, they're always ready for another championship.
Celtics fans are dedicated.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's time we switch gears a bit, move from the sports world to the political arena.
Oh boy, what's going on over there?
Well, we've got a trending hashtag, a CEO denying a presidential endorsement, and some, shall we say, interesting economic predictions, all happening at once.
Sounds like a typical day in politics. Let's break it down. What's this hashtag I'm seeing everywhere? Hashtag Dems deliver 16 million jobs.
This one's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
It's clearly a campaign move, highlighting job creation to appeal to voters who are worried about the economy, naturally.
Makes sense. And how does this tie into the whole Jamie Dimon thing? He's the CEO of JP Chase, right?
The one and only. And he very publicly denied endorsing Donald Trump.
Which is interesting because Trump had claimed that he had Dimon's support, right?
Exactly. It's getting harder and harder to keep up with all the political back and forth these days. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Dimon's been making headlines lately, but not for political endorsements.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's been sounding the alarm about the U.S. economy, and he even dropped a scary S word, stagflation.
Okay, hold on. For those of us who aren't, like, economics wizards, what does stagflation even mean? And why is it such a big deal that Dimon's talking about it?
Yeah, stagflation, it's not pretty. Basically, imagine the economy stalling out. Barely any growth, People out of work, but prices for everything still going through the roof.
Ugh, sounds rough. Like worst of both worlds kind of thing.
Exactly. And it's really hard to get out of once it takes hold. So when a big name like Diamond, a Wall Street heavyweight, starts mentioning stagflation, people pay attention.
I bet they do. So we have Diamond denying the Trump endorsement, but then also throwing out these warnings about the economy. If you connect those dots, what's the bigger story here?
It's like he's trying to walk a tightrope, right?
Yeah.
He's not just distancing himself from a political figure. He's also trying to play it safe in a really uncertain economy.
Yeah.
Aligning himself too closely with any side right now could backfire big time.
Smart move. It reminds you, these trending topics, they're not just isolated things, you know? It's all connected, like a whole web of stories unfolding right in front of us.
100%. Speaking of stories, we got to talk about this one. It's hashtag Fursuit Friday.
Of course. Gotta love a good dose of furry friends, right? Every Friday, bam, there it is. Pictures everywhere of people rocking those amazing fursuits.
It's a whole subculture that most people don't really understand, I think. But costumes aside, it really speaks to that human need for self-expression, for community, for a little bit of fun and escapism.
You got that right. It just goes to show there's so much creativity and joy out there on the internet. You just gotta know where to look. And speaking of joy, how about a birthday shout out? Happy birthday to Imran Khan.
That's right. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan is celebrating today. Just goes to show, the world of trending topics, it's not all breaking news and viral memes, it's personal milestones too, especially for people who've played a big part on the world stage.
It really is a mix of everything, huh? Hurricanes, the economy, fursuits, birthday wishes for world leaders.
You said it. And since we're on the topic of mixing it up, let's wrap things up with some good old-fashioned pop culture. The hype for Joker 2 is real.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love a good sequel, right? I'm curious to see what they do with this one. How about you?
Totally. The first one was so good. Such a powerful character study. And Joaquin Phoenix. Don't even get me started. I'm always a little skeptical of sequels, but the buzz for this one is hard to ignore.
I hear you. Well, there you have it, folks. We made it through the whirlwind of today's trending topics.
Quite the journey, wasn't it?
No kidding. We didn't just scratch the surface today, though, did we? We really dug deep into the why behind the what, the heart and soul of the deep dive.
100%. And I think what really stood out to me was how these random trends, when you see them together, they paint a bigger picture of what we're all feeling right now. The worries, the hopes, even how we escape from it all.
It's like you took all these threads, these anxieties, these little bits of joy and escapism, and you wove them together into something, I don't know, something that makes you think.
That's what happens when you really dive in, you know? We see these trending topics every day, but we don't always stop and think about them. Like, why are these specific things grabbing everyone's attention?
Right. It's like holding up a mirror to society.
Exactly. And that's what I hope our listeners take away from this. Next time you're scrolling through X and you see those trending topics, don't just keep scrolling. Take a second. Think about why those things are trending.
What are they trying to tell us about, like, our collective mood? What are we all feeling right now?
You might be surprised by what you find.
No doubt about it. Well, folks, that brings our deep dive into the trending topics of October 4th, 2024 to a close.
It's been a pleasure exploring all this with you.
The pleasure was all ours. Until next time, keep those eyes peeled, those minds curious, and remember, you never know what you'll find when you take a deep dive.